All right, what is up, guys? VVOfreak here again with another video. So today we got a special video. This one's going to be more of a theory crafting one. You know, my name is the VV Theory for a reason, and it's because I want to talk about, you know, deck tech. I want to talk about creating decks, and I haven't been able to do any of those videos just yet, just because I'm trying to get caught up on the card releases, the card reveals, and releases coming out for One Piece. So this will be the first step in that direction about talking about things, and what better thing to talk about than how I judge these cards. Because everyone knows that, or everyone who's watched these videos knows that I judge everything on a, you know, out of 10 scale. So is it a 5 out of 10? Is it a 9 out of 10? And just, I'll even mention here, excuse me, right up front that I will rarely be okay with giving a card a 10 out of 10. You know, you can kind of look at it on like look at Olympic judging. No, I'm not saying I'm an Olympic judge. I'm not. I'm just saying that, like, look at it like that, where those guys, they like refuse to give perfect scores because there's always some little tiny element that can make it better. So I'm not saying I will never give a perfect score. In fact, I think I did give like a 10 out of 10 in a previous video, but I always like walk it back like, maybe give it a 9 out of 10 or this, you know, because nothing's ever perfect, right? There is no perfect card out there that is like a 2,000 counter, who's like a 3-costed card, that's a 7,000 power, that's, you know, has a on-play effect, and like, you know what I mean? It just doesn't exist. That card's not out there. There is no perfect card, really, but who knows? Maybe there will be eventually, or maybe I'm overlooking a card. Y'all tell me what you think. Okay, so moving forward, in this video, this is how I plan on judging cards. I kind of have already been doing this, and in making this video, it gave me a very high level of respect for how they make One Piece. You'll see this game is very well balanced. Excuse me, at least in a character sense. It's a little bit harder to judge events and stages and even leaders. That's more of, you know, that's kind of what gives each deck character. That's what gives each deck its own unique identity. So moving forward, I want to judge. I want y'all to know I'm trying to judge everything the exact same way. And this video is talking about the criteria that I go off of. So first of all, in this video, we're talking about assigning values to the vanillas. Y'all know I always call a vanilla a 5 out of 10 because if that's the baseline they're going from, then that's an average card. Right. So after that, you know, I got to establish other archetypes like searchers and blockers. We will talk about those in particular because they have relevant values across the board. That, you know, like I said, they go across the board, so you get an average sense of it. It's better than a vanilla, right? Because it is a searcher or it is a, you know, a blocker or something, right? But it does get hit in its values department as a result. Next, I'm going to compare some non-vanillas to vanillas. You'll see that's at the end. And then just overall, we're going to talk about how strong are the effects of cards, how often is it relevant. You know, that's going to come up, like you'll see as we go through it. So, all right, so let's get right into it. First things first. Let me, hang on. There it goes. Okay. So, vanilla values. This is something that, I don't know why I did this, by the way, to my screen. It's like it's, whatever. We're just going to have to deal with it, guys. Sorry. Now is it letting me go through them? Okay, that's why. Next time I need to save it at a better resolution. My apologies, guys. That's why it's really tiny here in the middle of the page. So let's go into vanilla values real quick. Sorry about that. Notice there's a pattern. If you look at the left cards I have staggered like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 costed. Right, we got 8 over there on the side with Shanks. And then notice their powers, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000. It just keeps going up one every time, and every single one of these has a counter on them. And I tried to pick one from every single color so that you see it's not just one color. So basically there's a formula. If you assign values to all this stuff, right, guys? I know there's going to be some math going on, guys. This is a theory channel, right? C equals cost, so the cost for each one of these is in the top left corner. P equals power, that's the value in the top right corner. Well, we know what the power is going to be on a vanilla card. It's going to be 1,000 times its cost plus 2. Like times cost plus 2 in parentheses. That value has to be established first. So in this case, let's say it's a cost 5. Okay, well, 5 is the cost, plus 2 is 7, times 1,000 equals 7,000. Okay, and we know the counter is at a constant 1,000 on these. So One last thing I have on here is that if you look at the top right, that OP equals 1000 times C plus 3 instead of C plus 2. I call that like the overall power of the card. And that is literally when you include the counter as well. So in other words, for this 7 cost guy right in the front, right under the right near the 2 V's, this guy, he has 7 cost, 9000 power, 1000 counters, 1000 counter. So while he is a 7 cost Beckman, right? I think that's the card's name, Beckman. Though he's a 7 cost, he is a 10,000 overall power card. Like for 7 costs, you're getting 10,000 points of overall distributable value, right? 9,000's in the power, 1,000's in the counter. So let's move on from that. And you know, now that's just a fact, by the way, guys. Like what I'm saying, like, oh, I don't want to deal with all this math. I get that's fine. You don't have to deal with the math, but I'm just telling you that this is literally a fact. These cards, this is their vanilla base values. If a card has a cost of 4, well, then its overall value is going to be 7,000. Its overall power or overall value is going to be 7,000. As in, there's a 6,000 power attack and a 1,000 point counter. So, all right, moving forward. There are some cards that like enter this vanilla plus area where, okay, Zorro, perfect example. He's at the top left there. He's a 3 cost, 5,000 power, but oh wait, he doesn't have his 1,000 counter. Well, they determined that giving him Rush would make up for that. And boy, does it ever, right? That's where we get into certain keywords. We're going to talk about this next slide here with the blocker values. Certain keywords have a higher value the lower they are in the scales, the cost scale, and vice versa. The higher they are in the cost scales, in the case of Rush. I think Rush, higher up in the cost, you know, is actually more relevant, right? And that's why we only see a few cards that have Rush in the entire game, right? But you'll see what I mean, I think, or hopefully you'll understand what I'm saying. Each one has a different value depending on where it is. So there's a few other cards on here. You know, you got Yamato back there behind the what's her name? Akiku, Kaido, the Kaido, Big Mom, and other Kaido. The 2 Kaidos and the Big Mom 10 costs are really really good examples of where you're getting a 10 cost 12K. Well, that's right on you know, track, right? If you have a 7 cost being a 9K, an 8 cost being a 10K, a 9 cost being an 11K, and a 10 cost to be a 12K. It just keeps going, right? Well, these cards are that, and instead of having the 1,000 counter, they have these extremely relevant abilities to, you know, to their color, and you know, they're all thematic, right? Like for Kaido, for the purple Kaido, he just wrecks the entire board, right? For the yellow Big Mom, right? She takes a life from them and gives you a life. Just huge, massive, right? So you get the point there. Smoker, we're going to talk about again all the way in the back of the video. So stay tuned for him. He's extremely important. We will be talking about him later. He's a great example of a very well costed, you know, very high value card. Okay, blocker values. This one's a little tricky. Blocker effects / keyword values seem to be determined by the character's cost. So, in other words, if the cost equals 1, then that keyword blocker is worth 3,000 power or 3,000 points of overall value. Like, look at the bottom here. You see the Chopper, the Beige, and the Trafalgar Law. They're only 1 cost. They're 1,000 power. Well, if they were vanilla, they'd be 3,000, right? So they're missing 2,000 power, and they don't have a counter. There's another 1,000 putting it at 3,000 powers missing. Well, what justifies that? Well, the only other thing on the card is blocker. So we kind of get a glimpse into the mindset of the designer on, okay, a blocker on turn 1 is worth 3,000 power. Okay, blockers on turn 2 cost 2, or not turn 2 rather, but cost 2. If the cost equals 2, then the blocker keyword is worth 2,000 points of power. So take a look at these guys on the left here. These are 2 cost, 2,000 power. Okay, well, they should be 4,000, right? If they were vanilla, they'd be 4,000, and they get the 1,000 counter back. And the only keyword they have is blocker. So in this case, the blocker keyword is basically worth 2,000 points, right? And then now, real quick, I wanted to point at this guy on the right. I don't even know who that is, that purple card. He is a 2 cost, 3,000 power blocker, right? 3,000 power blocker that has the 1K counter as well. I had to look it up real quick while we were talking. Higurashi. Kurozumi Higurashi is his name. And he is basically the most cost-efficient 2-cost blocker you can have in the game, right? And he is from OP01. So you can tell probably sometime around OP01 and OP02, they started determining, like, okay, we need to have a consistent value for these blockers, you know. But who knows? Maybe they had this in mind. Maybe they thought this would make up for something, you know, with him, being in purple. Maybe they thought red was being too strong. Maybe they decided to give an edge. You never know. But that kind of gives us a glimpse into the minds of the developers here with the values. Now, when the cost equals 3, then the blocker keyword only becomes 1,000, and anything above that, I think it just disappears. So let's just take a look. So here's some 3 costs, and a lot of these cards are spread across all 3 and 4 of the current sets that are out in all the starter decks. So at the time of me recording this video, OP04 is being released in Japan, has just been released in Japan. So that's where we're at. Okay, and these cards are from that as well. So as you can see, all of these 3-cost blockers are 3,000 power and 1,000 counter. Well, then why am I not saying that the blocker keyword is worth 2,000? Well, unless you can speak Japanese, you would probably not recognize that each one of these cards has its own ability, right? Unless you already knew the cards, right? Each one of these cards has an ability as well, right? In the top left, Fukuro, he has blocker, so there's plus 1,000 power, right? And the ability cannot be KO'd by effects. So there's another 1,000, right? And each keyword and effect gives an additional amount of value, in my personal opinion, right? So you look at all these, you know, I have a few of them up here. The purple one there is Yokozuna, and he has the effect of, on your opponent's attack, you can take 1 Dawn away, or, you know, put it back to your Dawn deck, and return up to one of your opponent's characters that costs 2 or less to the owner's hand. So it's a blocker. It has 1,000 counters, 3 costs 3,000, and it has this effect, right? Same thing with, you know, that blue guy there, Karn. He is a 3 cost 3K, 1K counter with blocker. So there's 1,000 power accounted for. But then an additional effect of if you have 20 or less cards in your hand, this character gains plus 3,000. So that's a 3 cost 6,000 power blocker, right? And they all have that. Shirley down there, Bart, and Pound. They all have these extra abilities. Now Bart is really interesting, right? Because he's a 3 cost 3K with a 2,000 counter. That is awesome, right? And he's still a blocker. So you kind of see where, at least, hopefully you see where my logic's going there. Then there's also, you know, this is where you can see where keywords mean different things at different times in the game. These 3 cost blockers down here at the bottom right, Boa, Nefeltari, Vivi, and Brule, they're all 3 cost, 1,000 power, 1,000 counter, blocker, with the trigger of play this card. And it's play it for free. It's not play and discard something or play and trash something. It is just play this card. So in the case of a trigger being on the blocker, they determined that was worth 4,000 power, right? Like they determined it's that strong. It's that strong. And last but not least, you got Dofi at the top right there. He's just incredibly solid. As a 3 cost blocker, you're getting a 4,000 power card, right, with 1,000 counter still. So you're only 1,000 power off. Well, he has blocker. There's 1,000 that you can account to him. And he has on play search top 5 or you know, rearrange top 5. So very high value card. Very high value card. Now moving on to the 4 costs. We only have the 4 costs and 5 costs left. I'll go through these pretty quickly. These are just all your big high value 4 costs and 5 costs. You know, Sanji in the middle there is what I want to talk about first. That is a card, Sanji in particular, this yellow card in the middle here. 4 costs, 5,000 power, 1,000 counter, blocker, and a trigger. This card is never dead. If it's in your hand, it is a 1,000 counter. If it's on the board and you're on defense, he's a 5,000 power defender. If he's on offense, he's swinging for 5,000, which is very relevant, right? Because that's the average life. You know, that's the above average. You know, that's every character with a few exceptions is going to be at a 5,000 average life pool. And he has, if you get him off the rip in your life, he has a trigger to put him into play. Just incredibly, incredibly powerful, high value card. The rest are very high value as well. Poor Croc down there at the bottom right doesn't quite make it, right? Because that one can only be a blocker if you attach one Dawn to him. So he's really like a 5-cost 5K blocker. It's just not the same. Sorry, Croc. I had to put him down at the bottom. But let's talk about Marco real quick and Borsellino. You want to talk about high value? These guys are it, right? Marco, I would consider second place for high value 4-cost blockers, and first place goes to Borsellino. I'll explain why. And you could argue either way, by the way. But we're talking about value. So 4 costs, 5K power, 1,000 counter. So he's only, you know, we're talking about Marco first. And he's a blocker, of course. He is only 1,000 power away from being a vanilla static character, and he has the blocker keyword. But he also has this effect, right? When, you know, if he would take damage, that would, you know, let me read the exact card so that I don't you know, mess this up for y'all. I wanna read it exactly the way it's worded for Marco. So he has on KO. There we go. You may trash one card with a type including Whitebeard Pirates from your hand if you have 2 or less life cards. Place this character card from your trash rested. So you do have to be at 2 or less life, and you do have to discard a card to keep him alive. Okay, that effect is incredible because that is allowing you to block, survive off maybe a normal counter if you need to, right? Or just block whatever. And then also, they can try to take him out and he can just come back to life. Like it's on any form of KO, whether it be battle, effect, you name it. Okay, Borsellino, on the other hand, you just can't KO him with effects. You can't do it. And so with him, it's unless it is on your opponent's, unless it is on your turn, like so off a life trigger from something like a jet pistol, a impact wave, things like that. But he is a 5-cost, 1,000 power blocker with, on your opponent's turn, he cannot be KO'd by effects and plus 1,000 power. So he is literally, as a defender, he is a 4-cost, 6,000 power, 1K power defender. Literally vanilla statted, just incredible, and cannot be KO'd by effects. So in the opposite case, like, you know, where Marco, you could technically regenerate Marco as many times as you want to discard a card. Well, with Borsellino, you can pretty much defend him as many times as you want to discard a counter, right? And you just don't have to worry about it either. And they're both 5,000 power base where they can swing a face. So extreme high value cards, guys, because of what they're able to do. Extremely high value. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, 5 cost. You'll see the same exact patterns. Hopefully y'all are seeing the patterns, right? Like with the 4 cost guys, it's 4 cost, 5K, 1K counter. Okay, now in this case, 5 cost, 6K, 1K counter, blocker, and a very relevant effect, right? Sabo, especially, you know, he's coming out when we look at the OP04 cards. Some of these cards, like I said, are out in OP04, so sorry, guys. I know I'm going a little bit out of order on the channel, but this stuff is all known to the East and West at this point. So, I should have said spoiler warning, right? My bad. Okay, Trafalgar Law, Sabo. All of these cards are 5 cost, 6K power, 1K counters, except Trafalgar Law and the Crocodile down there at the bottom. Again, poor Crocodile. He can never catch a break, you know. He just, no matter what, he always has to be hampered in some way, I guess. Because, like, if you look at, let me see. I'm looking at the actual stats on that specific card. He's a 5 cost, 6K. With no counter, but he still has blocker and then a relevant effect. and by the way, the relevant effect, it requires a Dawn investment. But that is similar to this guy in the middle here, Bluno, behind Diamante, however you say it. Anyway, I'm not going to go over all these cards. The ones on the left I would consider the highest value out of all these cards. Queen has an argument there as well, obviously, because Queen can draw 2 cards and discard 1, so very solid. Sabo is a Dressrosa card that draws 2 and discards 2 or trashes 2, whatever, and gives everyone on your board cannot be KO'd by effects for the next turn until the next turn, which is just incredible. It's just simply incredible. So powerful. 5 cost, 6K. He's a relevant swinging body. He's Dressrosa, so he's going to be in like the blue-black deck more than likely. He'll probably be in every black deck going forward. Sabo is that strong, in my personal opinion. So, and then Trafalgar Law, we all know what Trafalgar Law does. I'm not going to go into the details there. Okay, now we're getting to another archetype. This is Searchers. They're 1 cost, 2,000 power, 1,000 counter Searchers. There you go. That's all I had to say. Then there's a 2 cost version of Searchers that we can find. That is a 2 cost, 3,000 power, 1,000 counter, and then Search as well. Bonnie's down there at the bottom. She's upset because she didn't make it into the 1-2-1 club. Sorry. She's just not cool enough, right? One cost, 2,000 power, 1,000 counter club. But no, we know Bonnie's awesome. Anyway, so you'll see a common theme here. And again, if you look at it, basing this off the vanilla values, okay, well, a vanilla card should be 1 costed, 3,000 power with 1,000 counter. So basically what the developers are saying here is a search effect of according to your theme, is going to be worth 1,000 power on a 1 cost body. And same thing on a 2 cost body. Now, is that Pudding in the front there? Sorry, she's one of the new cards. I can't remember. She's a 2 cost 3,000, 2,000 counter with a search type of effect, but it's not really search. It's really like look at the top card of your life pool. But I included it because it's similar. It's similar. But anyway, you kind of see what's going on here, and each one is different. You know, in a sense, like the Rebecca down at the bottom and the Spandam, the 2 black cards, they're very different because they only search 3 cards, but then you discard the cards that you didn't get, right? The 2 you discard 2 cards from them, and that's important to note because those are relevant to what those classes do. CP9 likes to have graveyard interaction with Rob Lucci, and Rebecca is in the Rebecca deck with Dressrosa, and they have graveyard interactions as well with cards like Luffy and even King Kong Gun. Gum King Kong Gun. So, you know, they are all the same, realistically speaking, and that points to a very strong sense of balance. The game seems to be, at least from doing the math on it and doing a little bit of theory crafting, I'm going to go backwards a little bit, there's a balance here, right? See, this is a green, black, purple, blue, and you know, it's spread across the field. Each one of these colors really has their own balanced version of what we're talking about. I'm not including every single card of each one of these archetypes, but you see that it spreads across all. It spreads across, I can't even speak, all of the different colors, and there's a balance there. So I'm hoping you do see that, and that's how I'm able to make my values and make my judgment calls on what I think is good and what's not. So going from here on, I got about 2 or 3 more slides, I think, maybe 4. Yeah, about 5 or 6 actually. Excuse me, about 5 more slides. These are 3 cost ones. I just grabbed 3 of them. I don't know if there were more. These are just the 3 that I grabbed. As you can see, I'm not going to go into full detail on these. These are just 3 cost searchers. So Luffy, the reason he has a 1,000 counter, like I said, he is just especially well valued. He has a very high amount of value in this card because notice these other 2. Who is that? Parapero and my brain. I'm having a brain for Nami, right? Let me see. Pretty sure. Yeah, Nami. Man, my brain. Sorry. So we got Dofi, Nami, and Parapero. Or Paraspero, whatever his name is. These guys are all search effects, right? They all have their own, and I apologize for the quality. Again, I need to mess with the resolution next time I do one of these kind of videos. But they all are search style effects that are irrelevant to their theme. And notice this. They're all just lacking a 1K counter in the sense of the green and yellow card. But Dofi is lacking the 1,000 power. So you see where as things move on, and I will say also Paraspera has a trigger as well. But anyway, you're getting an idea. So if I were to value these cards, like, I mean, honestly, how do I say this? I think that the Dofi and the Paraspero have a slightly higher value than the Nami. Even though Nami's effect is on play and when attacking with just a 1 Don investment, These others just do what they're supposed to do when they do them, and trigger come into play from or play this card with Paraspero. Dofi's a blocker with look at the top 5 cards. I just feel like they're slightly higher in value than this Nami. But there's also an argument to say that if Nami sticks around for longer, she can have the higher value because she can keep searching, right? And with bounce effects and things like that, getting multiple triggers off at a time, or multiple activations off at a time, as long as you have the Dawn. Because, I mean, think of it like this. You could play her one turn, and then if they didn't do anything with her, swing with her, get her effect. Okay, now bounce her with like a law to replay her and get the effect. You know, it's if you have that much Dawn to spend. But the point is, when I look at all these cards, they're very similar in value, but I would give a slight edge to the Doflamingo because he just does what he's supposed to do, sits on the board and protects. And then Paraspero, you interact with your life so that you can get this trigger so that you actually are playing him pretty much for free, right? Theoretically, like that's like the idea, right? It does come, you do have to trash a card, so you are, you know, it's not for free, but you get what I'm saying. So very, very interesting way they divvy up the balance with these cards. These we're not going to go over at all. I'm just going to blast through them real quick. These are just event searchers showing that red has them, blue, green, black, purple. I think yellow has them as well. I didn't look yet. Or maybe they're too new at this point in the game where they don't have them yet. But you get the point. These are all searchers. They're all a little bit different. Like the two red ones and the blue one are main look at 5 cards with the specific keyword. And the green one is a counter look at 5 cards with a specific key. Look for us. Look at 5 cards and grab one with a specific keyword. Excuse me. And they all have triggers except the blue one, which I thought was kind of interesting. I don't know why they neglected that there, but I don't know. Maybe someone can tell me in the comments below. 2-cost Artificial Devil Fruit Smile. Just give an idea. There's also, this is a 2-cost main one with the trigger. Main look at 5 cards. But this one, because it's more than 1 cost, the way they balanced it is you look at 5 cards from the top of your deck, play up to 1. Play, not just reveal and add it to your hand, but play up to 1 card with a cost of 3 or less, then place the rest of the bottom of your deck in any order, and the triggers activate this card's main effect. So this is essentially ramping you a card, right? You're paying 2 to get a potential 3 cost. It might be a 2 cost, it might be a 1 cost. Okay, but you are putting it into play, right? So it does have that ramp effect. Same idea with Eridor. Main, if your leader type includes CP, so it does have to be in Rob Lucci. Look at 5 cards from the top of your deck, play up to 1 character card with a type including CP and a cost of 5 or less, then trash the rest. The trigger, I guess they determined would be too strong for what it does, so they have it as just trigger, or maybe they wanted to make it more universal, actually, the more I read it. Play up to 1 black character with a cost of 5 or less from your trash. So that is nice, where you can grab like a Fukuro in that case, because it doesn't have to be CP anymore, or a Kobe or something, right? So that is, you know, that has its value there as well. So just kind of, again, just trying to give you an idea of like the comparisons. A lot of this stuff you guys might already know. Counters, we already know about this. Every color has their own two cost 4K counter, and I think every color has a 1-costed 2K counter, and some have even more than that, where it's like you know, Radical being, you know, they're all thematically, you know, appropriate, right? They all have their own theme. So very, very solid. Okay, so now let's talk about numbers one more time, and then we're pretty much going to wrap up the video with 2 comparisons. All right, I'm just going to read this right off here. It seems like the game is balanced around a formula of cost-power association. Okay, standard vanilla characters at 1 cost will have a power of 3,000 and a counter of 1,000. Therefore, whatever the cost is of the character will determine how much overall power there is to distribute. And in that case, it was 4,000, right? The power is 3,000, the counter is 1,000, that's 4,000 overall power. So here's like the formula: cost equals C, counter equals 1,000 constant, the power equals 1,000 times the power equals 1,000 times the cost plus 2. We already saw that earlier. And overall power is just P plus 1,000, or a better way to say it is C plus 3, right? 1,000 times C plus 3. So if the cost in this example, I just went over that cost. I just went over that example. So if the cost equals 2, the overall power is 5,000. Cost is 3, overall power is 6,000. Cost is 4, overall power is 7,000. And again, that's perceived overall card value, right? You see what I'm saying? So then to conclude here at the bottom, it seems like keywords are worth about 1,000 power of overall power. Likewise, certain keywords are worth more at lower cost than others, like we were saying with Blocker and Rush, and some values can be justified via requiring a Dawn investment into the character or some other type of restriction. So here's the 2 examples we'll go real quick to wrap up this video. Okay, 3 cost Eustace Kid here. Eustace only has 5,000 visible power, right? So, 4,000 power on his card, 1,000 counter. Well, he's missing 1,000, right? Well, the way they justify that is the double attack effect that he has, which is Dawn times 2, double attack. So without a 2 times Dawn investment every round, he's actually a less than efficient vanilla, right? Like, because a vanilla would be a 3 cost 5,000 with a 1,000 counter. But having that double attack does give him the chance to be even stronger than it, right? Because now you're swinging for 5k with double attack or more, excuse me, with 6k with double attack, right? So the biggest downside of him is this character and cost is the fact that it does not have the desired, there's like desirable numbers as well. I might have to reserve for another video. Like 5,000 is a very desirable number on a vanilla or higher, right? Because you can at least swing for face without any investment whatsoever. And then like 7,000 to deal with the 2,000 counters. Again, I might have to say that for a whole nother video, and I know a lot of people have already talked about it. But anyway, this is a theory channel. Of course, we're going to talk about that stuff. And then the biggest downside of this character and the cost is the fact that it does not have the desired base of 5,000 power and to swing against standard leader power. So I would give this a 5 out of 10 because he is just a standard character most of the time, but below that, really. However, when you attack with him, he can become an above average. So it's almost like he should be a 4. Without any Dawn attached, he is just a 4 out of 10. But if you attach 2 Dawn to him, well, now he's like a 6 out of 10. I pretty much take the average. He's a 5 out of 10. Smoker, on the other hand, he should be a 5 cost, 8,000 power, right? But we can only see 7,000 of it on the card. Sorry, I'm going to try to go through this fast. I know this video is going long. This card, essentially, without his 1 Dawn investment and requirement of a 0 cost character in play to access his double attack, he still can swing into a 5,000 standard leader and be 2,000 power over, where they have to do more than give a 2k counter, right? So that alone makes him pretty much, a 5 out of 10 by itself, right? Being on curve like that. But Smoker also has an effect that says he cannot be KO'd by effects. So that gives, like, if you add that effect with when you attach 1 Dawn and get a 0 cost character on their turn, that puts him at like a 9,000 power when he should only be at 8,000. So that puts him at like an 8.5 or like a 9 out of 10. Just extremely cost efficient card. And last but not least, we already kind of talked about this one. This is the Sanji one. If you want to pause and read all this, you can. But here's all I'm saying. When you look at this card on the left, its name is Drophy. You can only see 4,000 power. But it's 4 cost, so it should be 7,000, right? Well, that's an issue. That's an issue. And the way they want to make up for it is they give it the blocker keyword for 1,000 of the power, and 2,000 of the power is given to the trigger, which is Dawn -1, play this card. And by the way, Sanji's is trash 1 card, play this card. So it's a very close fight there as far as the playing the cards. But realistically, what Sanji offers is so much more. Because not only is he a blocker like Drophy, not only do they have the same effect for thematic, color appropriate costs, but Sanji has the 1,000 counter and has extra 1,000 power. So that's where you see, like, down at the bottom, Drophy is about a 4 out of 10, whereas Sanji is like a 9 out of 10 or better. It's just that this is how I judge the cards, right? Going off of comparison to other cards, going off how relevant the triggers are, going off the power of them, going off everything. I try to account for as much as possible when I'm judging these cards. So, all right, that should be it. So if you had any questions, throw some questions below. If you saw something I missed or correct something I might have missaid, by all means, I want to know what you guys think about it. This video is a little long, and I know the resolution was messed up. I plan on making these videos a little shorter in the future and fixing the resolution, making it look a little better, a little more presentable. But I do hope you all like this kind of content, because I do plan on doing a lot of theory crafting in the future. This channel is called The VV Theory. It is going to be talking about theories I have, theories I've come up with, theories I've seen, talk about decks and the theories behind them and how they work and all that good stuff. So, all right, I'm going to end it there, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed. Appreciate y'all coming by. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed what you saw. And again, I can't ever stress this enough. Please don't hesitate to leave comments, talk about it. And I should be able to respond literally as soon as possible, ASAP. So, all right, guys. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.